Fit fam, what's good? Mick here with another video. And today's topic of discussion is going to be flexibility, mobility, and stability. So what's the difference and why are they important? But before we jump into it, I want to knock this out real quick. Joint mobility, right? So I recommend joint mobility. It's going to help you with pain, discomfort, motion, mobility, as well as your joint and tendon health, right? But it's the last resort. Proper nutrition is always key. Stretching is what's really going to help you in the long run. But if you need an additional boost in all of that, I recommend Joint Mobility by First Form. Link will be down in the description below. All right, now moving along. People most often talk about joints in relation to having pain. Generally speaking, we focus on one joint at a time. However, it's important to think about all the bones, muscles, and the connective tissues around each joint as we integrate systems that rely on the health of other joints. So like ankle joints connected to the knee joints connected to the hip joints. Y'all get my drift. You know, funny bone connected to the whatever bone. So in other words, if a single joint does not work properly, the joints above or below can be affected. So when we talk about flexibility is basically the absolute range of motion in a joint of systems of other joints. And the length of muscles that I guess crosses the joints involved. It directly correlates to the range of motion and mobility, but does not directly correlate with strength, balance, and or coordination. So range of motion is the distance and direction of the joint that moves, right? So while mobility is the ability to move without restriction. When we talk about mobility, though flexibility and mobility sounds similar in nature, they are not interchangeable. Mobility within the joint is the degree to which the area where two bones meet, known as articulation, is allowed to move before restricted by the surrounding tissues such as tendons, muscles, or ligaments, right? So think of mobility as the range of uninhibited motions around a joint. So a good level of mobility allows a person to perform movements without basically any restriction, while a person with good flexibility may have the strength, coordination, or balance to execute the same movement, right? So good flexibility does not always denote good mobility. And then we jump right in and talk about this thing called stability, right? So mobility relates to movement while stability relates to control. Stability is defined as the ability to maintain control of joint movements or position by coordinating actions of surrounding tissues of the neuromuscular system. I'm using all these high-speed words, but basically joint stability depends largely on shape, size, and arrangement of articular surfaces, which are basically surfaces on joints and cartilage where the bone makes contact with another bone. I keep doing these are bones, right? Bones make contact with another bone, right? So the surrounding ligament and the tone of the surrounding muscle, right? So injuries including ligament tears, sprains can often lead to stability issues of your joints. Let's connect the dots here, right? So connecting the dots, the movement dots, if you will. Though maintaining flexibility is important, flexibility alone cannot prevent or heal injuries, right? So a person can be very flexible but lack mobility, stability within their joints. Rather than considering one or more of the other as important as the other, Think of flexibility and mobility as equal partners in creating sound movement patterns. You gotta have each other in order to function properly. Now that you got all this information, how can you improve your mobility, stability, and flexibility? So, daily mobility and activation drills plus stretching keeps, your body primed and ready to take on any challenge, right? Some things you can do. You can do SMR exercises, which means self myofascial release, right? You can use various objects such as foam rollers, you can use tennis balls, PVC pipes and stuff like that, just to name a few. And this is going to help massage away restrictions found in normal soft tissue. When we get into mobility exercises, here's some things you can do with this, right? So mobility drills, they're a great way to improve movement within joints, get a little sticky, those joints that just kind of lock up on you a little bit. So mobility exercises differ from static stretching in that they take joints and tissue through a series of movements to increase range of motion. Not everyone needs mobility work in all their joints, but many people benefit from daily mobility drills. If you feel like stiff, limited, or sore, then you should probably want to work on your mobility in whatever that joint is, as well as the joints above and below it. So like, for example, if your lower back or lumbar spine feels stiff, you're going to want to work on hip and thoracic spine mobility. And that's when we're going to go into activation drills, which activation drills are going to help the body learn how to properly use the right muscles at the right time when you're doing whatever movement you're trying to do. This is going to increase your muscular strength around the joints and impact the mobility or stability of that joint as well. Many activation exercises involve the core, the glutes, and since they make up the base of the trunk and help support hip and spine stability and mobility, these activation drills are what you're going to want to do. Flexibility stretches, right? So stretching, it not only feels good when you get a nice good stretch in, but it can also improve the range of motion within your joints. Save stretching for after a good warm-up or a decent workout rather than before. Mobility and stability is going to unlock better human movements, right? So flexibility can benefit from the movement by increasing the range of motion within the joint. Working to improve movement in as little as like 10 minutes, right, a day can lead to healthier joints. So less pain and a decreased risk of injury. And that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to keep our joints from being in pain for those who do have it, and we're trying to reduce injury. And that's what it's all about. The reduction of injury is all around our main goal. I hope this information was beneficial for you. I hope you now know just a little bit more about flexibility, mobility, and stability. Hopefully you put some of this in action. Hopefully you see results from this information that I provided you. And make sure you drop your comments down below. Do you have flexibility, mobility, or stability issues within yourself? And what have you already tried to do in order to correct these issues? Anyways, y'all be humble, y'all be great. Make sure you love yourself so you can love somebody. And I'll see y'all on the next video. Peace.